Hello and welcome everybody to our new project where we give the entrepreneurs the information from the first hands about where to go and where to best set up the business. Please welcome our guests today, the founders of the advisory group, my former colleague Peter Hoffman and the Ali Al-Kitbi. Good evening, gentlemen, and thank you very much for taking time to talk with me today. Hopefully you enjoy it as much as I do. So can you please first introduce yourself and tell why did you choose the UAE as the basis for your company and not other region?
I would like to start with Salam Alaikum, which means peace upon you. That's the greeting here in the Middle East in Arabic. The reason that we established that advisory group is that I have been here. Okay, we need to stop.
No worries, continue. We will cut it. So, yeah.
I've been around businesses almost all my life with my family, friends, and we have noticed that a lot of companies would like to enter the Middle East. They do not establish themselves well and they have to leave the region, which is very sad for us. And to close this culture gap between the Middle East and the rest of the world to establish your own business, we established the advisory group to close this gap and guide the investors into the right way of conducting business in the UAE and the wider area of the GCC and the Middle East as well.
Yeah, Alexander, Peter, thanks for having us here today. To introduce first myself, and then I come also to my reasons or common reasons with Ali and our partners here in the advisory group, YD UAE. So I'm since many years in the internationalization business to help companies on all maturity stages to grow. And as more as matured they are going international. And I set up in my career many programs also for governments to develop, design, structure, develop, implement, and execute advanced support programs to help entrepreneurs and SMEs to grow. And in this time, I spent in the meanwhile several years here in the Middle East and supported companies in the country, in the region, but also companies coming into the UAE market. The main reasons why we choose the UAE is, of course, Ali, our national star, and local and very well familiar with the region and the behavior and the culture, where we will come more in detail later. The main three reasons, I would say, is that the UAE is on a high-speed journey to creating a sustainable ecosystem for businesses, especially for startups and scale-ups. The UAE is ranked top and further bolstering its position as an ideal and leading Gulf destination to live, work, and invest. And finally, in the GCC, the Gulf Cooperation Council region here, the economy of the UAE is the most diversified, and the ongoing actions of the government with complementary legal and regulatory reforms and social changes here in the region contributed to this rise. And this is exactly, as Ali mentioned, the reason why we founded the advisory group here in Abu Dhabi for the UAE, using the UAE as a gateway for the GCC region and the wider MENA region, and to help companies to grow from the local point in the UAE to this wider region here.
Yeah, sounds great. Maybe let's start with like general overview of UAE. We all knew and noticed how the economy is booming in attracting a lot of new investors and international businesses. And from outside the country, it seems all very good, and on the paper is all perfect. But what really our audience need to know before going, and what is the news from inside the UAE?
Exactly, as you can imagine, Alexander, the insights, I will pass the micro definitively to Ali. But me, as coming from outside, I would like to give here the intro. You know, there is some common knowledge about the Arabian Gulf, the UAE promising shock, full of opportunities, and the glamorous life in Dubai and all the fantastic architectures. But what many do not know is the way of doing business here in the region is, for example, different than doing business in Europe, and including the cultural particularities. This is key to know. And therefore, today, and before I pass over to Ali, the aim is to give our audience here a guideline to avoid the main pitfalls in the internationalization journey to enter this region. Ali, I hope I introduced it as from outside, meanwhile, not more any more outside, but this is the common perspective people have when they hear something about the UAE, but it's different. I can tell you, and Ali will give you an overview about the Emirates, the Gulf region, and that you have a feeling for the size. Ali.
Actually, when it comes to ease of doing business on the whole world map, UAE is ranked one of the top easiest country to do business in the world. Having said that, there is a lot of critical knowledge that for the foreigner investors, when they come here, they need not to be alone on this road at all. There is a lot of ways of reaching your goal, but there is an easier way of doing it and less expensive than the others doing it. The way we do it is that we hold hands with our investors, we call them partners, and we guide them through every single steps and which steps they need to avoid and how they can do it faster and a cheaper way and launch their company. And most importantly is how legally they can best form company, avoiding why they're here, to avoid taxes and expenses, and also to secure projects for them. We do all this three consultation in one place, one-stop shop that will provide all the information required to do business in the UAE.
Ali, maybe you can, because me as a German European, for other people from other destinations, can you explain? For me, at the beginning, it was also not clear. Can you explain what are the Emirates? When we are talking about Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Ras Al Khaimah, what is the GCC region? What are the population, the size, the business compared in this region? I think this is for somebody coming outside and having this common knowledge a very important point.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because maybe for someone, UAE is only like Abu Dhabi or only Dubai, but how it works, yeah.
Abu Dhabi, UAE was established in 1971, 2nd of December. So we are a very extremely young nation, but the achievement has been done in the past 50 years. We're so great. Anybody can notice it. UAE is about 86,000 square meters. Abu Dhabi makes 80% of that. Dubai is about 2% of the total area. Total population around 10 million. Abu Dhabi has 1.4, but Dubai has the biggest population in UAE. It's about 5 million. So that in terms of size and population. However, in terms of economy, Abu Dhabi has 80% of the UAE economy is actually coming from Abu Dhabi. Having said that, if you look at UAE compared to the whole MENA region, UAE is the second largest economy after Saudi Arabia. Combined between UAE and Saudi Arabia, it makes about 76% of the total economy of the whole Middle East. That tells you something. If you set up in UAE, then you have access to 80% of the economy, almost 80% of the MENA economy size. Not only that, UAE is built 90% with investors coming outside of UAE. So that makes it even easier to start from the UAE and go globally or go to the MENA region. And it's a regional hub and regional office for a lot of international companies. If you look at the top 10 companies around the world, they all establish their headquarter regional office in UAE.
Yeah, that's really amazing. And maybe can you give some insights about the overall market dynamics and maybe some industrial view, where it's growing, where it's stable, which parts of the economy is more liked by investors from UAE and throughout the world? So if you can give us some insights and background.
Sure, Alexander. Let me start with the ecosystem, and Ali can then go to specific industries, because I think our audience are entrepreneurs that are willing to internationalize, and so I think it's very important to know the reasons why this ecosystem here was or is in development, yeah, and more and more in. As you can imagine, Abu Dhabi alone accounts for 95% of the oil in the UAE. But as all regions here, they are moving from their reliance on oil and gas to a more tech industry. And you see what happens with climate change in the world. And this was the reason why the government set up the Strategic Economic Vision 2030, the National Innovation Strategy, and so on. And if you see the UAE today, and I'm coming just to some hard facts that explain the ranking of the startup ecosystem, and money follows opportunities. This is a key point to know. Some statistics. If you see the Global Startup Ecosystem Index 2021 by Startup Link, 100 countries, 1,000 cities, the UAE ranks 25th globally. And it's increasing more and more. And compared to GCC, Bahrain 66, Egypt 70, Saudi Arabia 71, Qatar 84. And within the UAE, Dubai has jumped last year from the rank 99 to 67. Abu Dhabi rising 146 spots to the 169th country in the world for ecosystems. I have many statistics here from this global startup ecosystem, ranking in the top 10 in performance. Dubai number 1 in the MENA region, Abu Dhabi number 3, Sharjah number 7. Global Entrepreneurship Index, UAE, globally 25th, Bahrain 38, Oman 39, Saudi Arabia 42. So in all
you sold it to us.
Exactly. In all rankings, they are leading here in the region, in the Gulf region. However, as Winston Churchill said, I only believe in statistics that I doctored myself. Huh? I would also like to give you, and referring back what I said at the beginning, money follows opportunities. And here I'm coming from the startup ecosystem to the venture capital, private equity ecosystem. And here you see a massive increasement in the venture capital scene. Just a simple example, when the venture capital global venture markets statistics had a drop from Q4 2021 to the Q1 in 2022 by 13%, or even in Asia by a dip of 31%. Here in the region, we had an increase of 33%, and compared to the quarter in last year, even 161%. And the investors more or less doubled here, and more are coming from outside the country. And a key factor that you have here in the region, by having this vision and this goal and the ambition not to rely in 50 years on oil anymore are these government support initiatives. I give you only two examples. The Hub 71 as a flagship initiative in Abu Dhabi with a budget of 13.6 billion USD, backed by the Sovereign Wealth Fund, Mubadala, SoftBank Vision Fund, and Microsoft. This is a massive investment. Dubai has the same and just launched with the Dubai International Financial Center, and also just launched more than 100 million, one of many USD venture capital fund for startups. There are new regulatory support for venture capital funds. And what you is not to underestimate here in the region, all the sovereign wealth funds previously looking internationally in later stage and private equity investments are now investing in their backyard, following this vision given by the government. The same for family offices, historically underinvested in technology, and now investing in technology. Regional cooperation, the new regional cooperation between Israel, the UAE, and Bahrain under the Abraham Accords brings now the Silicon Valley via Israel here more into the region. It's getting open and open, and all these factors brought together or let follow the money to the opportunities. And you see this vibrant ecosystem.
Peter, let me add one more example. UAE
Sure.
is the largest investor in the world in a clean energy. A decision was made 2 weeks back to invest another $50 billion just in a clean energy.
That sounds amazing. I mean, for the company, for the country heavily invested in the oil in the oil extraction and reproduction, it's very uncommon. I would say, as a Russian, I would say it's very uncommon to invest in the clean energy, and that's amazing. I mean, that's very good example.
If we are already talking about clean energy, Ali, I think you can best explain the priority economic sectors here in the region.
Well, as we stand today, the oil and gas sector is the largest sector that we have. And then comes after that, tourism sector is about 18 million visitors per year. And we have the busiest airport in the world, which is Dubai International Airport. And then we have the healthcare sector that is coming also in the top sector in terms of the size of the investment going into this sector. And then the financial services being led by Abu Dhabi Global Financial Center. That's also becoming the top 5 sectors that service the economy in UAE.
But Alexander, you would be surprised. We are talking here in the UAE also about space. Space industry is very moving forward here. And of course, educational sector. We just were together today with Edutainment, EdTech, a company to introduce them more and more in the market. And we see that this kind of services are needed here. In general, it's about technology.
Perfect. As you said, money follows opportunities, and basically the current situation with oil prices, with high oil prices, and the UAE is one of the main beneficiary of these oil prices, and definitely it's great timing to reinvest. And from the point of view of government, and the great timing to raise the money for the startups throughout the world in UAE. It's all sounds very, very promising, but are there any cultural differences? How the people from the Russia, from the Europe, from the US coming to UAE, what they need to know?
They need to know that they don't need to lock their cars when they leave. They don't need to lock their doors when they go. When you go to sleep, you don't need to lock your doors. Your neighbors, your family. So it's a very Abu Dhabi actually is ranked right now the most livable city in the world.
And safe.
Yes. So that tells you everything about the lifestyle that they have here. It's a very warm culture, a welcoming culture. Privacy is very respected here. The family has a huge value and respected. You can actually call your neighbors to pick up your children from school. It's not a strange thing to do here. Walking in the middle of the night as single young boys to just grab a pizza in the middle of the night is normal. There's nothing to worry about. Leaving your wallet and the table at the restaurant, go to the toilet, just expect it to be there. If you forget it, then it will be delivered to your house. That's the kind of service that we have here.
Yes, and with this personality, familiarity, this has exactly from the private life also is reflected, let's say, in the business life. Ali, the business culture here is different to our ones in Europe. It's even more because it's small. The region, everybody knows everybody, and there is even more than in Germany or with you in Russia, Alexander. This personal relationship and to grab a coffee around the corner and to initiate interest, to initiate a business. This is for me coming from Europe is a huge difference. And sales and marketing strategy. You can develop as many sales and marketing strategies as you want. If you are in the B2B business, a personal relationship, a personal introduction. This is a key point here, as I see it, and Ali, I think
that's a very important point because many of our audience developing a B2B startups or B2B SaaS solutions, and it's important to know that if you go to UAE, you need someone to help to establish the relationship. Otherwise, you can fail from the beginning. I mean,
exactly, Alexander. So you can develop again the best marketing and sales strategy and use LinkedIn or whatever. You will be surprised that you have no reaction on your business development. And what is also very different, if you pitch in your home country, there are a lot of details. Same in Germany or in Europe. This is totally different here. You have really to convince. If you talk about a sales pitch or investor pitch or even a business pitch, only a few slides and straightforward to the point. But first, an introduction, best by somebody who's living here, who knows the potential business partner often, and we will come later on this if we talk about business setup. You even cannot do business because of the in-country value. You need special regulations and certifications that you don't have, and even they would be interested. You cannot sell. It's a totally different landscape here in doing business, from the culture, from the business itself, from the regulation, from the certifications, and because it's a closed family, private life, business life, they all know each other here in Dubai or in Abu Dhabi. And so to reach out to a prospect can take you a long time. It's very costly because you are coming from outside. You are not established here. It takes you a lot of time, a lot of money, or you choose the way to settle down here, to create your relations. You go to a local partner and who helps them. So often you also cannot reach out directly to a business. You need a distributor, you need somebody who is certified, trusted in the market, long-term relationships, certificated, registered, and this single contact in the B2B business can spread out all over the market. Instead of searching for single clients, one contact can be the trigger point and the hockey stick.
Alexander, it should be no surprise to anyone here that friendship comes before business. You can walk in a meeting and the first probably, I would say 80% of the meeting will be just talk, friendly talk, knowing how you're doing, how are you settling in the country, how's your family, education, your background, and all of that. And maybe toward the last 20%, that will talk about business and shake hands and see you some other time over coffee. So it's totally different. It's shocking to a lot of people, but with the right partner, you get hopefully the right result, I would say.
And what is also key, not only here, but especially here, Alexander, is that the time that you fly in, go to a meeting, expect the business, and fly out, this time is definitively over, if it exists here anyway in the past. But this you can forget. You need to build a relationship, you need to build trust, you have to take care for your after sales, you need, let's say, skin in the game, and to be present with your face in the country.
Thanks. I mean, this is very important insights. And I think many people just reading how to do business in UAE don't understand it. It's very, very...
This is what I said at the beginning. There is a lot of common knowledge, but the reality is different.
Yes, yes. Yes, okay. It sounds that the economy is booming and the culture is very welcoming for entrepreneurs. But how we can, and other guys, how we can set up a business in UAE? Can you give some guidance from your experience?
Well, the main categories of type of business in UAE is free zone companies and inland company. Under the free zone company, the name says it all. You can establish 100% of your company in the free zone. However, the activities are limited to conducting business in the land. Mostly, you cannot do any business in land with the free zone company. And inland, then you have so many types, from 100% owned by the investor to having a local partner, from an LLC company, to some of the activities you cannot even conduct business unless you have something we refer to as ICV, which is in-country value. Doing business with the government also, they cannot accept some of the trade license. So there is specific requirement that cater for specific sectors. However, in general, a main inland company, you can conduct business with almost every sector. But also there is a prerequisite, pre-qualification, and some of the projects, depending on the size, depending on the sector.
Yeah, Alexander, it's compared to Europe, it's definitively more restricted. I give you an example. Yesterday and today we introduced the company to private business partner and today to government partner. And the first or the second question was, are you a mainland company? Do you have a local sponsor, meaning a shareholder in your company who is local? Because then it's more easier for us to do business with the government, because if you don't have this mainland company, you cannot do business with us. It's much more difficult to get the permission to do so. This is here the mainland company in kind of a LLC with the limited liability this is what we can definitively recommend, to have an open business, not only in the UAE. Of course, it's not limited to the UAE. You can go to the wider GCC or MENA region, and you can go out from here and use the UAE as a gateway. From the procedure to set up a business, this is also a little bit different to let's say Europe. You need first to think about, what license do I need? What activities do I want? And I can tell you there are around 2,000 plus different licenses in Abu Dhabi. There are 2,000 plus different licenses in Dubai, because we have seven Emirates within the UAE, and you have a federal law, but however, every Emirate has his own specifics in regulation. And to grow to deep into this jungle of different kind of licenses, this is not the easiest way, I would say, out of my own experience coming from outside. Then you have to choose a name. Then you have to go for a pre-approval, and then it's a registration process, as more or less as we have it. It's a lot online, but you need to know how to do it, definitively. If not, it takes you a long time. Ali.
You leave this headache for us. We are part of our culture that even though we are a digital economy country, but there's a lot of things happening. We have, as we say, it's a one family. So we know, I know my brothers, my cousins, we all know someone who works somewhere where we get things done. There is a process you have to follow. There is the prerequisite, the requirement you have to follow. But if there is hiccups here and there, then we know how to manage it. As TAG, as the advisory group company, we also do 1 hour free session for any company that would like to register their interest. If they have questions that we can answer from the first session, just to help them out, to better understand it before they land their company here. And we tell it as it is, especially for the ones who wants to move with their family here, with their friends. Then they need to know not only the business side, which is the second most important thing, but then the first important thing, which is their lifestyle in UAE.
What is also important to know is, at the beginning I said, it's here the development is at a high speed, huh? Mm-hmm. And it's also a kind of iteration, huh? That means what did not work well, then we improve it. That also means that the way of registration and the kind of licenses, it changes. It changes not only from time to time. As I said, it's also different between the Emirates, and it's fast moving process. That means what was yesterday has not been today, and therefore to give you a clear direction at some point, it's valid at some point, but it can change in 3 weeks. And this is very important to know, because it's a fast moving country, by improving the processes and the regulations. And this is to know, and also to handle the expectation gap. As Ali said, I know this guy, and what is the best practice today and tomorrow? It's ongoing.
It's very
dynamic. That's the word. Exactly.
It's very dynamic. Keep changing. I must tell you, some of the trade license could be issued in 5 minutes. 5 minutes, digital. And some of the trade license that requires specific requirement to make sure that it's conducted in the right way, it will take longer process. It will take probably a meeting, an interview. So it depends on the sector and the size of the company, and the form of the company will decide on the length of the process. but having the right partner on the ground make it much easier.
Yeah,
Yes.
and Alexander, you know, we are approached by many companies willing to enter the UAE, and they ask us, what is the price of a license? It's difficult to say. I told you there are more than 2,000. But honestly, out of our experience, the last licenses we issued for our companies here was a few thousand USD. But if you are in a medical area or in a regulated area, in a banking area, this is a totally different story. But it's affordable. This is the key point. It's affordable. And if you go international, it's anyway combined with some costs, but it's absolutely affordable. Yeah,
thank you. Can I ask one clarifying question? Peter, you said that there are a lot of licensing and this differs from emirate to emirate. So in Dubai, it can be a bit different than Abu Dhabi. If we want to establish the mainland company in Abu Dhabi, can we work with Dubai or we need to...
can do business with everybody in the world.
Okay.
With everybody in the world.
And also with the government of UAE in different Emirates. No?
Yeah, and sometimes you need some other, additional certifications, or as I said during our conversations, to find a partner who is already registered with a regulated entity and to do business together with this company that is already a trusted service provider or supplier. This is a key point, and you have to identify the supplier or certified partner.
And what about this free zone companies? If we have a mainland company, do we need also a free zone, or only if we have a free zone and we want to do business in UAE with the government or with some companies, we need to make a mainland company?
Free zone is more or less, Alexander, for trading and for avoiding customs or import or export taxes. You are trading stuff. But if you want to do in the tech sector B2B business from a free trade zone, as Ali explained, you have issues out of the free zone to do business with registered entities here or even with the government, and you cut, because there's a lot of government entities owned by the government, quasi-government entities, you cut a lot of your opportunities.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Any other recommendation on setting up, or we covered everything?
Not a recommendation. It's a follow-up of setting a company here is maybe what is often very important for companies. Of course, if you have a legal entity here, you can set up. You have to set up your bank account for your legal entity. And for getting a private bank account, Ali, I think I know you need to be a resident here. But what is offered by having as a shareholder a legal entity here, right?
Absolutely, Alexander. I would say that the answer is customized. So it's whatever the personal objective of the businessman, we will tailor-made a solution for him. So if his objective is not to be a resident, establish a company, have a partner, flying in and out of UAE, or he have another destination out, outside his country also, and this is the third branch. So we customize the solution. What is his personal plans and the business objectives? We look at this, and then we combine a tailor-made solution for them. The answer cannot just be black and white for everyone.
Okay.
No, it depends on your living plans, honestly.
Exactly.
Because yes, now many people coming to UAE, and this the banking accounts, the personal banking accounts, is also a very important question. Is it? Can you probably elaborate? Is it easier for foreigner to open this account and to transfer money, or there is some strict or some restrictions even on it?
there is no restriction. We're doing business with the whole world. And there is no restriction in amounts, and there is no restriction in nationality, a type of company, personal, commercial. There is no such thing.
But for a personal bank account, Ali, you have to have this Emirates ID, right?
Yeah, the Emirates ID issued to you once you are a resident of UAE, and that could be done once you have an employment contract, or you're a shareholder in a company, or you own that company. Then you can apply for a resident visa. It's a 2 years visa. And then that visa could be actually, when they convert it to a golden visa, which is 10 years. Depends on the sector they work on and what kind of know-how they bring to the country.
Yeah. Okay. So if you are basically serious on moving your business to UAE, you establish an entity, you go with a partner, you have no other issues with a bank account, so you can operate openly throughout the world. That sounds great. Yeah, Peter. Sorry, you wanted to add up.
Yeah, about the visa, also this visa regulation, as Ali said, the golden visa. It depends if you are entrepreneur, if you are investor in real estate, if you are investor in a company, so in businesses. It could be a 3 years visa, a 5 or a 10 years golden visa. This depends sometimes on the amount of your investment, how is your company growing. It could also be issued to talents, scientists, mathematics, IT guys, if you have a special profession or you are graduating at the university. Even for this kind of stuff, you can get a long-term visa. So this depends on a lot of things. But the key message I would like to cross over is it's also moving forward. It's the government is facilitating all this social and changes in regulation and reforms. I come later to this about labor law, and that makes it easier to settle down here. And if you have a visa as an entrepreneur, it's also for your schools and for your children. This is important to know. You don't have to leave the family at home.
Yeah, and basically I wanted to ask this question. It's the last one, but not the least important. As a family guy,
you can, but you don't have.
Yeah. We touched a bit about the lifestyle, about welcoming culture, but what you can add about moving with the family, from the personal finances, from the taxation, from the visas that we already covered a bit, from other stuff. Can you give some insights?
Ali didn't mention it before. Out of this 9 to 10 million people here, population in the UAE, 85% are expats. That means you have here a very cosmopolitan lifestyle. You have first-class educational institutions. You have state-of-the-art medical facilities. You have top-notch accommodation and infrastructure. English is the daily normal, of course. Arabic is the language here, but English is the daily normal in business and in life. It's absolutely no problem for a family from the educational point, from the safety of living. Ali mentioned this. It's a very good place. And before we are coming to the cost of living and what it takes to live here from the daily expenses, let me also say that as all the regulations we already mentioned, that also the labor law is developing very fast. What we know all from maternity leave or parental leave, the improvements in holidays, the importance of employees' well-being, health insurance, all this stuff changed. Now you have this freelance visa, talent pass, flexible contracts. So in the past, you had to hire somebody and you have to keep him, and it was difficult to change employment contracts. Now you can hire a talent according to the maturity stage of your company on a freelance visa, on a talent pass, and after 6 months, when the project is done, the guy works for another company. This was not possible in an easy way in the past. Now everything for this is possible. From a tax perspective, there's no income tax here in the UAE. So far, there is still no corporate tax. This might change in next year, 2023, that the first time ever there will be a corporate tax in the UAE, but according to international standards, it's still in definition. It might be, we will see it 9%, but you have also a threshold in profit that you have to be over this threshold to be taxed. This is a very important point. And there is no inheritance tax, for example. Huh? Value-added tax is 5% not on everything, but on some things. Ali, can you say something about the cost of living and maybe comparison between Abu Dhabi and Dubai?
Yeah, before move to the cost of living, the corporate tax, which was announced a few months back, the 9%, is actually one of the lowest income tax around the world, if you compare with the others. Second, if you can reinvest it in the business or real estate or on other assets, then you can waive paying it actually. So there is, yes. So even though it's there, the companies have the right to reinvest it in the local economy. So it's even though we do have the law also states that this tax can be paid by the owners of the company to other assets. So they don't have to report it back to pay to the government, which is really unique.
Absolutely.
And also the most important thing about the lifestyle in UAE is that we have almost zero crime rate. And you know what's going on right now on the biggest economy of the world. You know, the shooting, the killing is non-stop. We even got used to it. If there is a shooting somewhere in downtown in a big country, we're not surprised anymore. But here, it could shock the whole country. So that's security is a big element of the doing business in UAE. Now, if you look at the cost of living, I would say Abu Dhabi and Dubai still not in the top 10 expensive companies, even though you get the safety, you get the luxury, the infrastructure, the education, the healthcare, the amazing digital services that provided by the government. You know, UAE just launched an app called UAE Pass, with actually it's linked you to every single government in UAE and semi-government companies with just a face recognition. You can open about 40, 60 apps that include another 50 to 80 services from these entities. Imagine what kind of access you have within a few seconds from your home, anywhere, in your airplane. You still conduct business in the UAE. It's 24/7 business.
Yeah, sounds amazing.
Yeah. If I compare it with Germany, let's say from the point of cost of living or paying rent, whatever, you are around, let's say, the pricing of Munich, Frankfurt, Hamburg. If I'm speaking, allow me to speak about Germany, then it is the best comparison for me. Also from the cost of living. However, you have no personal income tax. That means you pay it here from your gross, meaning net. And this is the difference. You have maybe the same cost of living, but you have your full salary.
Yeah,
it's not taxed, and this is the difference. So as Salih said, living here, being not taxed, having a good salary income and business with the entrepreneur, it's also affordable. The only difference, this I have to mention, because I'm not familiar in Germany with that, is that for the costs of education, if you send them to private schools, so you can send public schools, private schools, but here you have to pay for this education. But this also depends if you are employed on your employer. Many employers give you a compensation package that includes the education of your children. So they pay. But this you can also not say black and white, as Ali said. That depends. But this is the main difference. So if I would send my son to the university, I do not have to pay. Most of the universities are public in Germany. Here you have to pay. Ali, I'm right?
Absolutely. Because as mentioned, as Peter mentioned, 85%, probably 90% of the population UAE from expat. So you would say any nationality here have their own school even. Yeah, but it's not for free.
Yeah.
But if you look at the total cost of living, then it makes sense even to incorporate your educational cost within your income. And some employers do pay that out of the compensation package, as Peter mentioned.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense. If you don't pay income tax and other taxes, so you have the spare money to spend on kindergarten, schools, and universities, etc. As I heard that, like, taxes is a subscription for the social benefits. It's subscription-based business. So yeah. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your time today talking with me and the insights for our audience. Please, if you want to make a contact with the advisory group, please write us and we will connect directly to them. As Ali mentioned, they give a super offer, 1 hour free consultation for the businesses who want to relocate.